Austin, Texas, March 4, 2026. The Republican primary for the U.S. Senate in Texas will extend into a high-stakes runoff election on May 26 after incumbent Senator John Cornyn and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton failed to secure a majority of votes in the March 3 primary. Neither Republican reached the over 50% threshold required under Texas election law, forcing the top two finishers into a runoff that has quickly become one of the most closely watched inter-party battles in the nation. A bitter Republican clash. Senator Cornyn, seeking a fifth term, narrowly led Paxton in Tuesday's results, with both finishing ahead of U.S. Representative Wesley Hunt, who garnered roughly 13% of the vote, keeping him out of the runoff. Cornyn's lead hovered in the low 40% range, with Paxton close behind. The contest has morphed into a stark contrast within the GOP. Cornyn, the veteran establishment figure and longtime party leader, stresses electability and experience, portraying himself as the safer choice in the general election. Paxton, a combative conservative and staunch ally of Donald Trump, has relied on a base energized by his outsider rhetoric and willingness to take on party elites. Cornyn has criticized Paxton's record and personal controversies, including ethics investigations and impeachment proceedings that ended without conviction, arguing they would make him a weak general election candidate. Paxton, for his part, has branded the incumbent as too close to Washington insiders and insists his grassroots support is authentic. Record spending and national attention. This primary has set financial records, with more than $110 million in ad spending, making it one of the most expensive Senate primaries in U.S. history. Cornyn benefited from tens of millions in backing from GOP leadership and allied outside groups, who see him as the better general election bet. Remarkably, despite their rivalries, national party leaders, including former President Trump, have largely stayed neutral in the initial contest, though both campaigns are expected to vie for future endorsements as the runoff approaches. The road to May 26. Under Texas law, the runoff will take place on May 26, 2026, with early voting scheduled to begin about a week prior. Both men must now pivot to a longer general election cycle, securing support from voters who backed other Republican contenders and appealing to the broader GOP electorate. The runoff winner will become the Republican nominee and face the Democratic nominee in November's general election. On the Democratic side, State Representative James Tallarico emerged victorious in his own primary and is poised to take on whichever Republican prevails, marking a rare competitive Senate contest in the traditionally red Lone Star state. Broader political stakes. The Texas runoff has implications beyond the state. Republicans are defending 22 Senate seats in 2026, and what happens in Texas, a longtime GOP stronghold, could influence control of the Senate. A Paxton nomination could energize the Republican conservative base, but raise concerns among establishment leaders about general election vulnerabilities. For Cornyn, a defeat in the runoff would not only end his nearly quarter-century in the Senate, but also signal a significant shift within the Republican Party's internal power dynamics.